What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here for another morning after show. 3-0 at the Etihad last night against Manchester City, which you got to say they're the champions elect, aren't they?
Yeah, they've absolutely turned on the style ever since losing to us. Ever since they were struggling at the beginning of the season, they've gone on an unbelievable winning streak. They look unbeatable.
It reminds me of that couple of years back when we battered Chelsea, and they went on that run and ended up winning the league as well.
When was that?
The year, wasn't that the last season at last year at White Hart Lane, or the year before that?
We ended their run. They were on a run. We ended their run. They were on a run.
They won the league that year.
They did win the league that year, but we
ended their run, and then after they lost to us, they went on another run.
Yeah, probably. Can't remember exactly, but I know what you mean. But it was but City are very special at the moment. It seems like it looks like they're going to win a third time. Let's say collapse completely, but I can't see it from here. The fact that they've had injuries that haven't really affected them shows to me that they're in it for the long haul. I think Man City, and I think they deserve to be where they are, and they're one of the best teams for a reason. You don't do 16 wins in a row if you're not a special team, and it doesn't matter what team they put out; they keep playing the same way, and you've got to give them a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of people trying to put finger on the blame last night. A lot of people blaming Jose. A lot of people blaming the board. A lot of people blaming the players. But in my opinion, each one of them has got to take accountability. You know,
yeah, they all do.
Every single one of those people, you know, the players, Jose, everyone involved has got to take their own accountability, because they've all got bits to blame themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to put your finger on exactly the problem. A lot of people obviously blaming Jose after yesterday.
It is that difficult to put your finger.
It is difficult, because players don't just turn awful overnight. So you can't. I know. It's. Yes, the players are not good enough, but are they? Should they be higher than 9th?
Yes, but obviously it's a very strange season this year, where everyone is so tightly close together, where one win takes you up to 5th. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So they're not as bad to be 9th, but they're probably where they are. I mean, where they stand is probably at 5th, 6th, 7th, around there. I think.
Yeah.
The defense that we've got. Obviously, some players in there deserve to be in the top 4. Of course they do. Kane, Ndombele, Son, players like that. So I think when you look at it, there are a lot of players not good enough. And when you look at it, a lot of these players that we're saying are not good enough were substitutes for Pochettino.
Yep, that's the truth.
And that's the ultimate facts of the matter. And the crux of it, when you look into it, 3 years ago, we needed a rebuild, and we still have. Well, we've got it slightly. We've got 7 new players in the summer, which some of them are not good enough. Some of them are good enough. But we never had that rebuild, and we still haven't had it since 3-4 years ago.
I agree. I would argue we've the last 2 seasons we have attempted to have a bit of a rebuild, but it's kind of a bit too little, too late. Well, I think when we have our first 11 out on the pitch, when we have Lloris in goal, you got Aurier right back, Reguilon left back, centre back pairing of probably just say Toby and Dyer for argument's sake.
Yeah,
Højbjerg and Ndombele in the centre with say Lo Celso, Son, and let's say Bergwijn, Kane. I think that's a good starting 11. I don't think that's bad. But once we get a few injuries, and especially long-term injuries, big problems start to happen. And especially when we have to rely on players like Davis, players like Sanchez, players like Sissoko, when we're relying on them week in, week out, big issue. And also when Aurier is not there, and we're relying on like Doherty or something, big issues start to pop into the squad. And then all of a sudden, results start to have taken a massive downturn. And it almost seems like we can't handle injuries at the moment with our squad. Our squad is nowhere near as deep as we thought it was in terms of quality. At the beginning of the season, I was quite happy with the depth, but the way that we've performed with these injuries is really worrying, really worrying.
And it is also worrying how the squad's mentality seems to be so over-reliant on Harry Kane.
Yeah,
it's an absolute joke to me. These guys are Premier League footballers. Most of them are international footballers. And to be so heavily reliant on one man, it's a joke, to be honest. It really is. The mentality in that squad is shot to pieces.
Well, the only thing I would say to that, yeah, I agree with you. When Harry Kane's been missing, we've struggled. The only thing I would say to that is I thought against Everton, we tried to show that we can play without Harry Kane, especially in the first hour before Kane came on. We actually played some good football.
Yeah.
But again, we still kept making those mistakes, didn't we? And there's different opinions about who's to blame for these mistakes. Is it a systemic problem which goes down to the manager, or is it an individual problem? That's a big question. Why can't I connect to this?
It's hard to say because I don't know whether it's got to be individual, surely.
That's what I would think. Especially, I would say it's individuals when things like Dyer against Chelsea happen. Things like the first penalty against Man City yesterday.
Maurice just completely letting it through his legs.
Things, yeah, or things like just inexplicable mistakes. When those kind of things happen, then I think that goes down more. I would say actually, Lloris, that mistake he made yesterday for the goal, for the second one, goes more down to a systemic issue than an individual error. Because we've allowed Gundogan to dance to the penalty area 6 yards out from goal and get a shot off from goal. And yeah, Lloris should have saved it, but you can't be allowing shots so close to goal like that. And how are we allowing him there? Why is no one tracking the run? Why is no one blocking the shot? Where are our defence there? Yes, he should have saved at the end of the day, but when you have a shot from 6 yards out, no matter how good the keeper is or whatever, it's always more likely to go in than not. So yeah, he should have saved it, and it was a mistake from Lloris. But I think that that kind of issue goes down deeper than just a keeper mistake. The penalty doesn't, though. The penalty is just an individual error, which we were in control of the situation, and all of a sudden, where's the defence? But I feel bad for the reason I feel bad for Mourinho is I don't think everyone's playing awful at the moment. I don't think we're just shitting and all our good players are playing bad or anything like that. I don't think that's the situation. But we're a lot of the times, especially recently, I'm seeing us being competitive. I'm seeing us in games. I'm seeing us even playing well at times. And then every time something pops up, an individual mistake, and it costs us.
And that goes back to the mentality because we can't seem to claw ourselves back in games when we do go behind in any sort of game. Apart from the Everton game.
Exactly. It must have been a massive blow. To see yourself come back 4 times, that's what I can say. See yourself come back 4 times and still fail, that must be a massive blow to psychology. It has to be. How can it not? How can it not when you come back 4 times? Like, you must feel like nothing's ever going to work. When you're good enough to come back 4 times, it's still not enough. Like, that must really grain, especially on the attacking players.
Yeah.
But you've got things like this. One sec. We've got some tweets coming in. We'll get to your tweets in a minute, guys.
I just want to let you guys know out there, a lot of people talk about the quality not being 1080 in the comments, but I just want to let you know we're running this virtually today, so unfortunately it's not going to be the best of quality, but bear with us. Next morning after show we'll be back to being fully back in the studio. The back end of our guys are running it actually, so just bear with us today, lads.
Yeah. So I would say if you look at this, can we look at the tweet? Is there someone I can look at this or not? Maybe not.
Is there anybody out there?
Is anyone there? I don't think we can get this on. We can get it on. It says here, this is kind of story. On 12 occasions this season, a Premier League team has had 6 touches or fewer in the opposition penalty area of a match. Tottenham account for 25% of those occasions. That's three of those occasions are Tottenham, basically. He's saying, is that down to Jose? That is down to Jose, you have to say.
Sorry, I can't really read what it says.
It says on 12 occasions this season, the Premier League team has had 6 touches or fewer in the opposition box on 12 occasions. Tottenham account for 25% of those occasions, which is 3 of the 12. Now, is that down to?
Is that throughout the whole season?
This season, yeah.
Yes and no, but you got to remember that we went completely gung ho beginning of the season, scoring shitload of goals, and then Jose put the brakes on because of our defense. Because of our defense.
Apologies, guys. One second, we're back in a minute. Yeah, he's, but he has to take some responsibility for that. I think he does have to take some responsibility for that. And but let's
So
look.
the point is, he tried to shut up shop because he knows our defense isn't good enough, and that's what kind of hurt us going forward.
And it worked for a time, but it's working at the moment. But then
Yeah.
again, he's opened up a bit.
Yeah.
I would say of our game, what you could what and the difference of what you could put down to individuals, what you could put down to more systemic. I would say in terms of the opening goal, which is one sec, which is crucial a lot of the time, especially the way we play.
Yeah.
If you ever since I would say if you look back to pretty much ever since Palace, if you go back from Palace, the goals that actually cost us. You got the Palace goal, which was individual mistake from Lloris, which Mourinho couldn't do much about.
Yeah.
You got against Liverpool, we lost 2-1. It was the last minute corner. I don't know. We're not sure what Mourinho could do about that when Dyer's because he's down. 2-0 against Leicester. The opening goal was Aurier when he pushed Fana in the back for no reason. I'm not sure what Mourinho could do about that. Wolves late corner, man marking. I'm not sure what Mourinho really could do about that. Fulham at home. Cavallero gets on the end of cross, but Eric Dyer has one man to mark in the box. He doesn't mark him. I'm not sure what Mourinho can do about that. Liverpool at home, the first goal we conceded just before half time. Dyer and Lloris both for each other. Aurier lets Mane run off him. I mean, maybe Mourinho could have a bit of a structure issue there in terms of how Mane was so easily got on behind the team. But in terms of Dyer and Lloris leaving it for each other, nothing you can do about that. Brighton away, I would say yes. That's one where you can put that down to structure. I think in terms of the way we lost. What's wrong? Okay. That's not
No,
good. Yeah, but
I get.
Brighton, I would say yeah. I would say that was a structural issue that game. We didn't create any chances and we looked really bad. Chelsea at home, Dyer on the floor, kicking out Werner, giving away a penalty. Not much Mourinho can do about that. And yesterday, the defeat to Man City. The first goal we conceded was that penalty, WeAreTottenhamTV, which I don't even think was a penalty actually, and I'd like to get people's feedback on that. The penalty he gave away. I'm not sure what Mourinho could do about that. So all these mistakes I'm going through. Yeah, apparently, yeah, people say. One sec, guys. We're going to try and fix the audio in a minute. All these mistakes are, a lot of the time, I'm not sure what Mourinho can do about it. I'm not sure what he can do about it, and it's a problem. It's a problem with our defenders taking responsibility. I think it's always a big problem when you can obviously point to a structural issue when there's so many mistakes being made. But I'm not. But at some point, we have to players have to take responsibility. I feel the players do have to take responsibility, and that's a problem. Let's look at some of these tweets and people are sending in. Tag us and stuff. We'll react to it, guys. Should we look at them? Yeah, let's keep looking. Tottenham until I die. We definitely need someone like Skriniar or Laporte for our defence. Otherwise, we'll suffer in defence. And also, we need quality on the right wing. Ali, Bell, Mora, Lamella, and Bergwijn are not good enough. Maybe Spitzer could play there. Yeah, I would love to. Mercato plays yesterday's game was disappointment. Lloris, Lamella, Mora were not great. The only positive was Bale looked better yesterday. Other than that, I'm just disappointed in the Spurs' performance. Sums up Sanchez and everything Tottenham related right now. Yeah, it really does. That picture pretty much sums up what Spurs are like. Just rolling on the floor. We need a
See if it works now. Is that any better?
Hello. Can you hear us, guys? In the chat, is the audio better now? Can you hear us? Sounds fine. Gone. Perfect. Finley. Better. Okay. Yeah. Let's just move these mics out. Oh, shot. 1 sec, guys.
All right, we're back, people. Sorry about the slight audio issues, but like I said, we're running this virtually today, so just bear with us. But it seems as though we fixed it. Well, everyone in the comments seem to be.
Sorry. 1 sec. All right.
All right.
Okay, guys.
Shall we go to the papers and see
Yeah.
what they have to say? Let's go to the Sunday Times. Oh, rugby. Oh, bloody hell, a lot of rugby.
Was it a big rugby game
Liverpool, Alisson Blunderland again yesterday.
Yeah, it was.
All right. Gundogan leads the way. Man City midfielder has scored the most Premier League goals since the start of December. Harry Kane is low down on that list.
Was it? Sorry?
Most goals since December.
Who's top?
Gundogan.
Gundogan, yeah. There you go.
On 11. Salah on 9. Souček on 7. And then Fernandes, Sterling, Rashford, Kane and Maddison all on 6.
It's not that far
That's
down.
right, isn't it? That headline.
Gundogan.
Gundogan moves City closer to the horizon.
Yeah. I mean,
what do you make out of this? Bale on periphery as Spurs fell to strike. What did you make out of Bale yesterday?
yeah, I mean, he looked all right when he came on, but it was not a lot of pressure on him, was there? That's the thing.
Yeah.
He did look fine. He was in. Yeah, he had that one moment. He had a shot. He was looking tricky. Looked like he had a bit of a point to prove, but it's hard to judge when where City are 3-0 up. And
The game was done, wasn't it?
Yeah, the game was done. So it's not like they were trying that hard, City, after 3-0. They seemed to be playing it around. We had kind of given up. So it wasn't hard to me to look a step above what we were offering yesterday.
But since that Arsenal game, it's actually a joke, our form, because it's nearly half a season now we've been on bad form.
Yeah.
Literally.
It is.
It's like 15 games or something like that.
It is. Exactly. It's really poor.
And, we need to address something needs to change very soon.
I literally went through every game down to Arsenal.
Yeah.
And literally, apart from I would say the Brighton game, no, but even though I'm saying I was talking about the first goal being an individual mistake that Mourinho can't really account for. Apart from the Brighton game, where I would say that was more of a structural issue, even though David sets one off him, I think that's a structural issue. Pretty much every first goal we concede is a mistake that Mourinho can't account for. So what's he supposed to do about that when defenders are constantly screwing up?
It's clear what we're supposed to do. It's clear what we've been needing to do for the past 3 or 4 years is to get better players in. We said it on the show last night. We haven't upgraded the defence since Toby Alderweireld come in, pretty much. The last centre-back we signed after that was Kevin Dimmer. He was gone shortly after. Who else? So Davinson Sanchez we signed. He hasn't really worked out.
Even Pochettino, when he came in, right, he finished 5th in his first season. He did okay. But he had Fazio at the back, right? He had Chiriches at the back. He had to get rid of these players. He had to get rid of them, and he had to bring in his own dependence. He had to bring in Toby. He had to bring in Wimmer. He had to bring in whoever he needed to improve.
The only difference is it was a very different market then. But Spurs were a different club then as well.
Yeah.
Spurs were a different club then. So you got to look at it. We brought in Jan Vertonghen for how much? 15, 20 million?
11 million. Well, he was on the last year.
11 million. Toby Alderweireld was that 10, 11 million as well, and 12 million or something. We bought top quality players for pennies.
And it's tough, a lot harder to do
that. And I guess you can say the same thing, like the Skriniar deal in the summer. We were willing to only pay 25 million or something. And they wanted to send 35 million. That is a steal for a player of that quality.
Yeah.
That is a steal. I'm never going to get that deal again. The same for Jack Grealish.
You could even have Diaz wanted to come in and chat to Mourinho, but we didn't call the point.
How much did 45
I think. That's how much good players cost.
Yeah.
But I feel for Mourinho because obviously what he's achieved in the game is up there with what Klopp and Pep have achieved. But right now, the tools he has is just not the same. They're just not the same, and it's hard for him. And that's what he's being compared to. He's being compared to these managers because he's achieved as much as them. But right now, the tools he has at his disposal in terms of, as we said before, Pep has defenders who aren't working. He just gets a checkbook out. He can even sign a player. He signed Brav over 20 million. It didn't work, so he shipped him out after a season.
What about all the fullbacks?
Exactly. Like he spent 100 million on fullbacks. Mourinho doesn't have that luxury. But my point should be
to sign a centre back. I know he signed Joe Roden, but we need one that can come in, hit the ground running straight away, and almost a Van Dijk. You know what I mean?
I honestly believe we only need one top-class centre back who can revolutionise the defence.
Yeah, it can.
Just like Van Dijk.
To complete this squad, we need a centre back, maybe two centre backs.
I only think we need one centre back that will revolutionise the defence. I really believe that.
Yeah, I get that. To make it a complete squad, for what we want to achieve, to actually go and actually challenge for this league, I think we need two centre backs. I think we need a new right back, left back, centre midfielder, and a right wing.
Really being who's going to bring everyone up. No one's a leader there. That's an issue.
Audio is rubbish again.
Still,
we got. Go keep talking.
We got one of them. Says Joe. Players go make mistakes when they're chopping changed every week. The thing is, he only changed it because they're making mistakes. They're not making mistakes because he changed it. So I kind of
get that because I think that
he did have a setback. He did.
Yeah.
So we've done that, and then they started making mistakes. He changed it up. Can't keep playing to make mistakes. He changed it up, and then them making mistakes because
it's hard to get a rhythm when it keeps chopping and changing. Though.
No, I get that. Well, what's he supposed to do? Though? Just keep playing, but they keep making mistakes.
Maybe one or two games chop and change it, but not constantly every single game chop and change it. I think you need to have the two best centre backs in Toby Alderweireld, probably Eric Dyer as well. You need to keep them at the back, or maybe Joe Roden. You need to identify two of your centre backs and stick with them, in my opinion. Look, one or two games, yeah, you can bring in new centre backs, but I do think you need to stick with a centre back pairing because you need consistency.
Yeah, but would you do when they start making mistakes? Just keep playing
Everyone's making mistakes.
That's the thing.
Everyone is making mistakes, and if you keep it, then maybe you minimise those mistakes. Because if you keep bringing in new centre backs, new problems are going to occur, in my opinion.
Yeah, but he's changing because problems are occurring.
Yeah, but if he had more trust and faith in them, maybe less problems would occur.
Maybe
and he's changing it, and problems are occurring anyway. So you may as well stick with it, keep a rhythm going. Let's go on to some papers. It's just all about them. Sick and tired.
Sound is like.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with this video. Sorry, guys.
All right, we're back.
All right, we're back, people. We've got all the gooners out of our microphones and out of our audio sessions. So audio should be a lot better now. So how is that? Let us know in the comments section how the audio is. But let's go to some tweets.
Yeah, we got more tweets here from people. We got Aaron Welch says, I know we haven't played well recently, in brackets run of bad form, but City on a really good run of form. We took the same amount of points as Liverpool. We can't dwell on this loss. Yeah, it's interesting the context our form is compared to Liverpool, because actually we're very, very similar.
Well, let's actually look at the form table in the league so far. You know, Brighton are like top of the form table.
Yeah, I think we're bottom of the form table.
So in the form table, we are 18th in the last 5 games. Liverpool are 13th with 3 points more than us. Last 10 games, we are 12th.
12th.
Yeah.
And Liverpool
are 15th. So yeah, I mean it's fairly similar, isn't it?
Yeah, but no one would ever accuse Klopp of being the problem there, would they?
No, I think people are calling the injuries the problem there.
Yes,
which is probably right.
It is probably right, but we don't get the same luxury of excuses.
No, but I think if Kane and Son, do you not think we blamed the injuries, and most people blame the injuries at the back end of last season when Kane and Son were injured?
Yeah, I guess he got that excuse then, but at the moment he doesn't get that luxury.
No, because he doesn't have the injuries that Liverpool have. I mean, I know he's got Reguilon and Lo Celso, but it's not like it shouldn't be as impactful that as like a Van Dijk and Gomez, basically your whole defense ripped out.
Yeah, but the problem is our defenders are fit.
Ultimately, though, he's playing Henderson at centre back, and he looks better than any of our centre backs.
Yeah, I know. So who do you blame?
Who do I blame? I told you I put everyone in the blame. If you want a kind of table of blame from 1 to 3, 1 being the most to blame, 3 being the least to blame, I put the board top, the players second, and Jose third. But everyone there has their part of blame. 100%.
It's interesting how the narrative changes with the board because Levy, I would say, but when he was in 2000, go back to 2006 when we sold Michael Carrick, and then in 2009 we sold Keenan Berbatov, and the big thing was all he wants is money. He just sells all our players. It's all he does. We're a selling club. All he wants to do is sell, and make the money. He does, and all he does is sell our best players. And then all of a sudden, you go to the Pochettino era, and he keeps all the players. He keeps Kane. He keeps Eriksen.
There was actually a twist in between the selling bit, because there was that time where we would sell to anyone, Man United, whatever, Berbatov, Carrick, like you said. But then there was a moment where it actually changed a bit in the Luka Modric saga, because Chelsea come in with Modric, and we actually hold off on that and refuse to sell him to Chelsea and get a cut fee and sell him to Real Madrid.
Yeah, we did say,
so that was a little bit of a turning point. There.
Yeah, and we sold Bale as well. Sold Bale.
Kyle Walker.
Then the Pochettino. Then the Pochettino comes, and all of a sudden everyone's worried that we're going to get rid of all these players. Right? Levy's just going to sell them. We end up actually keeping everyone. We keep Kane. We keep Dele. We keep Eriksen. We keep Son. We keep Toby, who everyone thought he was going to leave at one point. We keep him, and now the narrative's like, we need to get rid of all these players. Not these players, but we need to get rid. Like we need to get. The problem is not selling. The problem is not selling now.
Because if you stagnate in football, if your squad stagnate, you're going backwards, and players get older as well as they get along, and you need to keep refreshing the squad. And if you don't do that, you're going to go backwards. Everyone else around you is strengthening, and you're not strengthening. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah,
that's the ultimate facts of the matter.
Yeah, but if you look at the net spend of the last two summer windows, we're top.
Yeah, but we didn't. Well, we did spend. We didn't spend. We should have spent 3-4 years ago. That was little too late when we signed Ndombele and Lo Celso and Ryan Sessegnon. It was way too little, too late, and also we didn't get some of the positions that we needed. We've been crying out for a good top right back for ages, a top left back for ages.
We did get a left back.
Where?
Reguilón.
And what about the 2 seasons before that?
Yeah, but we got one this season.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the process. We stagnated for 3 years, and we went backwards, and we were slowly going backwards. So that's the facts of the matter. We had this void at our fullbacks for the last 2 years.
Yeah, we haven't. We. The problem is a lot of the players that were squad players under Poch are now much more involved.
We've gone from having the best defense in the Premier League to one of the worst.
Yeah, but it's interesting when people point to these individual mistakes that we've been pointing to and saying that Jose can't do much about it. These individual mistakes were happening under Poch as well, in the back end of Poch for the last year of Poch, I would say. It kept happening as well. It kept happening. So I'm not sure. So it cost Poch his job at the end of the day. Is it going to cost Mourinho his job?
Probably at the end. Ultimately, yeah, probably. I mean, unless you kind of invest where we need to invest, the manager's always going to take the buck, isn't he? And that's football. That's football for you. But ultimately, the board are to blame for not investing over the last 3-4 years, and you can't even blame the players too much because they're ultimately just not good enough.
You would say the board are to blame for not investing for not the last 2 years, but the 2 years before that.
Yeah, and not correctly in the last 2 years. Some of it has been correct, but some of it hasn't. We've been crying out for centre backs. We've been crying out for full backs. The right back we got in was not good enough. The left back we got in was brilliant. But still, we're stuck with Ben Davis week in, week out because Reguilón's injured. And that should not be the case. And the centre backs not good enough. Like, we haven't invested in areas that we've needed to invest.
But I would say yes. The problem we have is when we do buy a player, we have to stick to it. That's our model, because we are not Man City, where we can buy a player for 20 million and then just bin them off when they don't work. When we buy a player for 20 million, we have to try and make it work, and that's the difference in the situations.
And what if it
between
doesn't?
us and City?
And what if it doesn't?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but what happens if it doesn't?
We have to be better in the market.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is let's say this Matt Doherty deal now, it's clearly not working. What do you do now?
Well, until now, the end of the season, you have to try
and
make
obviously,
it work.
But I'm talking about moving forward into the future for next season.
Yeah, if he doesn't want him, I'll obviously sell him.
Okay, so that's what we got to do.
Yeah, but you got to find a buyer. You got to find. What are you going to do? Cancel his contract?
You got to get rid of.
Would you cancel his contract in the summer? If we can't
sell him, I think we could sell him.
If we can't, do you cancel his contract?
I think we can, though.
But if we can't,
why are you going to cancel his contract?
That's what I'm saying.
Cancel his contract.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's what you're saying. You're comparing our situation to Arsenal. That's what they did. We can't do that. We can't just cancel someone's contract. And if we can't sell him, we can't
sell him, though.
Yeah,
I know. Have to take a loss, though.
Yeah, but if we can't sell him, if no one's buying, then what do? Do we just bin him off to reserves and keep buying?
I think the Arsenal situation was a bit different because most of these players,
different. I agree.
Most of these players were running down their contract anyway. Most of them had 6 months left on their contract anyway. Yeah. That's why they got rid of them and cancelled their contracts this January.
Yeah, I know.
Ours is completely different. Most of our players are down on long contracts.
I know.
And that's makes our situation worse than what Arsenal were in.
Well, not necessarily because they're just later down the line, so it's not worse. They're just later down the line.
I'd actually prefer to be what Arsenal were in and actually our players on less contracts so we can just bin them off instead of being stuck with them for the next 3-4 years.
Yeah, that's not a smart strategy though.
Neither's a smart strategy,
No,
to be honest.
giving a longer contract because the player retains their value.
Yeah, but they're deadwood at this point.
They're deadwood at this point. Depends who you're talking about.
The Matt Dohertys, the Ben Davises, the players that we keep mentioning, the Sissoko's, the Dyers, the Sanchez's. You know what I mean? These players are not good enough. And we're never going to get the value that we hold on them, and Daniel Levy holds on them, especially with the amount of time they've got left on their contract.
I would say before the pandemic, you would have had a decent chance. Now you don't really have a chance.
Yeah.
Because people, Jeff Schlupp was going for 20 million. You know what I mean? And like these things, that's not happening anymore. These kind of deals. I think everyone has this problem. Chelsea have this problem. They have so many players like out on loan and just sitting in their reserves. Man United tried to sell loads of players, ended up just giving away Rojo and whatnot. Phil Jones is still sitting there when they tried to get rid of him. Jesse Lingard, they ended up loaning out. They've also had this problem. But the problem that we have is that we're very tight financially. We're tighter than these clubs. We spend less on wages and whatnot. We've built the stadium. We're paying off the stadium and everything. So we can't afford to have a player this is probably why the Bell situation is hurting so much. We can't afford to have a player, say Matt Doherty, on wages, who's just doing nothing in the squad. And even if he's not good enough, unfortunately, if we can't sell him, he needs to be part of the squad. That's the natural nature of reality for us at the moment.
Although they had a player like Danny Rose. Danny Rose has been on 60 grand, maybe even a bit more for the past 3 years. He's hardly got a game. They've just chucked him to the curb.
Yeah, that's true.
So why can't they do that to someone else?
Because that's not a very good. You don't want to do that with too many players.
Yeah, but if they're not good enough, then why play them? It's just going to hurt us on the pitch.
Why play them? Because we've got another option.
We've got an Aurier, we've got a Tanganga, so why play Doherty? And he's not hardly ever playing Doherty anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Aurier and Tanganga are ahead of Doherty at the moment.
Yeah.
But
so
what I'm saying,
so we are doing that then.
No, but what I'm saying is, when it comes to the summer, right? When we have like Sanchez, Dyer, we have Sanchez, Dyer, Toby, and Rodon.
Mm.
If we can't shift, say, Sanchez or Dyer, if we can't shift them, we're never gonna sign anyone before we shift them, because that's just our model. We're not gonna have a player like Sanchez sitting there on 70 grand a week who's 24 years old.
Self-sustaining model, yeah.
Exactly. We're not gonna do that, and that's just the reality. And you can say, oh, it's Enix's fault and whatnot, and obviously, as Spurs fans, we want them to just bin off the money and not care about the business side. But that's what they have to care about, isn't it? They have to care about make sure the club's running in a financially stable way, because that's their model. And you can complain about it, and we can all complain about it. But that's the reality of the situation. That's not going to change.
But they need to hire better salesmen. Then obviously Steve Hitchen ain't doing it.
I disagree about salesmen. They need to hire better. They need to make sure when they sign someone, he's the right player. Because at the moment we're going for cheap options, and then we're stuck with them in the squad, and they're not good enough. We can't sell them because we signed them for cheap, hoping they'll be good, and we can't sell them now because they're not good enough to be bought, and now we can't actually bring anyone in to replace them before we sell them, and it's the cycle.
Ultimately, our recruitment.
That's the problem. Our
recruitment since Poch has come in has been awful. It really has been awful. Yes, there's been the gems here and there, but ultimately, when you look at the whole pool of players that we've bought since Pochettino has come in, or maybe a year after Pochettino has come in, let's say that, it's been shocking. Most of our recruitment, the majority of it.
I tell you what, the bad. It's not. They're actually, when we're buying players for the first team, it's not been too bad. But when we're buying players for the squad,
yeah, that's
it's
right.
Awful. That's awful. Right. No. When we were trying to sign players to beef up the squad and quality,
the Ng's, the Janssens, all these players, all these deadwoods.
Yeah, we're just spending money. Like,
didn't we sign Janssen for like 30 million or something?
17, yeah. And the difference is when Liverpool sign a player to beef up the squad, they're signing Thiago, they're signing Jota.
quality players who are going to knock the door on the first team. When we're signing players who are going to battle for first team spots, it's just rubbish players. Rubbish players. You know, like all players who we're hoping can give more than their market value. Like, you know, Carlos Vinicius, although he's done okay, like we could have gone for a better player, but we got a cheap loan deal because we were hoping we can get a cheap loan deal. Maybe we can squeeze more out of him. Matt Doherty, we could have got a better right back than Matt Doherty, but he was 13 million, and he was doing well for Wolves. So like, get him in.
The whole Vinicius thing is like he was basically fighting an uphill battle from the moment he came in. You know what? You're bringing in a player that's never played in the Premier League before. Only ever played in Portugal and Brazil. You're going to need time to bed into the Premier League. These players, sometimes they don't get on a good form until their second season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look at Sonny, for God's sake. He came from Germany. He didn't hit it until the second season. How's Vinicius supposed to come in, play like bit part role here and there and hit the ground running? It was never going to happen.
Yeah. So I think the recruitment side definitely needs a revamp. I think we're clearly under Pochettino's early years, we were near the best, but now we're clearly falling behind. We haven't moved with the times. People have moved ahead of us in recruitment, and that's a big issue. I feel big issue.
Recruitment, absolutely
much
brilliant.
better for Fana. Absolutely, they signed him for 30 million. He's 19-year-old. He's star of the Premier League.
Liverpool's recruitment. I mean, these teams' recruitment is so much better than ours. It's a joke.
Yeah, and that's a big issue.
And I think we've got to start looking at this transfer committee or whatever that we've got, Steve Hitchen and all the Steve Hitchen and Daniel Levy. They're just not doing a good enough job in the recruitment side of things.
Jedson Fernandez,
you know what I mean? Jedson Fernandez, like what was that? What was that signing?
Just complete waste of time. That's what it was. Waste of time and money. And
let's look at the player that's come in since Mourinho has got the job. So first get signing with Steven Bergwijn.
Yeah.
How do you assess him? Like,
hasn't right now, jury's out, hasn't worked out. He had a good start this season. You know, he hasn't done what we need him to do, which is provide more goals and assists. Even if he's just done zero. I think he's a good player. He needs a bit of confidence. I can see quality in him, but at the moment it hasn't worked out. But I'm still holding out hope it might do. But at the moment it hasn't.
Jedson Fernandez, obviously that was a complete flop.
Complete waste of time.
The next few signings were the ones in this
summer.
window.
Joe Hart, whatever.
Joe Hart,
just for the quota. Matt Doherty's been pretty disastrous. Gareth Bale was just a romance signing which hasn't paid off. But then you got Højbjerg, Reguilon, who have been pretty good. Vinicius, no. I think we should have been better off getting a more experienced striker. And who else we get? And we got Roden, who hasn't.
He's a young centre back.
Yeah. Bobby Singh says, agree with transfer views, but three of our best players this season have been Reguilon, Højbjerg, and Ndombele. All Jose signings can't get.
Ndombele is a Poch signing.
Ndombele is a Poch. Can't get 100% right. Ndombele was a Poch signing, so I wouldn't say that. But yeah, look, Reguilon and Højbjerg, you got that right. But I don't know. Yeah, Jack Clark we signed. Everyone forgets about that. 11 million. He hasn't done much. It's difficult. They've got someone tagged us in a Twitter saying, to anyone who is just blaming defensive mistakes, I would reply with this. It's an excerpt from the Athletic article from Jack Pickbrick. He says, but at the same time, any explanation of Spurs struggles that zeroes in too far on the mistakes of one player or even a group of players is to ignore the wood for an in-depth analysis of a few trees. Watching Tottenham on Saturday was to see a team struggling in a more fundamental way than can be explained by simply the goals that they conceded or the mistakes that they had. If they had not conceded those 3 goals to Man City, they would have likely conceded 3 different ones instead. That's probably true, but we were playing Man City.
And this title, what do you make out of this? A mismatch that was summed up by the golfing class between Lloris and Ederson.
Well, I mean,
that
Ederson,
assist from Ederson.
yeah, it was unbelievable. But Ederson has made a lot of mistakes as well. Obviously, there was a time where we were saying he was making a mistake every week, and we're like, oh, is he in decline as well?
Yeah, I think that was right at the beginning of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah,
first couple of games.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
but ultimately they have conceded like 3 or 4 goals in like 15, 16 games.
Yeah, and we also went through a very good run defensively, not conceding goals.
Yeah,
didn't
it was
we?
never 15, 16 games.
It was like 10. It was like it was a lot.
I think it was 10.
Mate, well, for the first like half of the season, we conceded like 3 goals from open play or
From
something.
open play, yeah.
Yeah. So you can't, yeah, but Lloris wasn't to blame for a lot of the goals that were conceded from set pieces.
No, he wasn't. Lloris was absolutely brilliant first half.
Yeah, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was.
I don't think it's just, I don't think it's the difference was Lloris and Ederson yesterday. I think it was definitely more than that.
Moving on to a bit of a lighter note. Apparently, Mikel Arteta has 2 weeks to save his job.
Does he? According to who? The Mirror.
Yeah.
Why? What's that? What do they say?
It says 2 weeks notice. Arteta's fortnight to save season or risks chop like lamps. So this is their run in these next 2 weeks. Leeds at home today. Benfica away midweek in Rome. Man City on the weekend. Benfica again, and then Leicester away.
Wow. If he does, to be honest though, if he does actually go out Europa League early, then I actually would consider. I think he should be considered, because then that would mean they're out of all the cups, right? And then they're where in the league, like 10th or 11th. Like the difference with Mourinho, at least at the moment, he's still got a fighting chance in all the cups to save his season.
And we're still in touching distance of top 4.
Just about, yeah. We are in touching into the top 4. Despite the defeat yesterday, we're 4 points of the game in hand, so we're still there and thereabouts. We are sitting and sitting. Further and further away.
All right, and we're back, but there are just too many technical difficulties today. Trying to run a stream remotely is just not the one, is it?
Not
So,
today anyway. So look, we're going to try and fix these. I know they seems like a regular theme, but we need to try and we are going to fix these technical issues permanently, hopefully. So,
but I think the issue today was only because we're trying to run it remotely. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in today. Unfortunately, we're going to have to cut the stream, but player ratings will be with you in just under an hour, and the 5 takeaways from the Man City game will be with you sometime this evening as well. So keep an eye out for all the content coming today. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you all for your comments. We'll be back for the next live stream on Thursday for the Wolfsburg game, 5:55 kickoff out in Hungary. So join us for the watch along and the post match fan show there. Thank you everyone again. So like, subscribe, and comment, and as always,
come on, you Spurs.